into space, we drift and we roam, finding our place in the vastness we call home. With courage and wonder we reach for the light, guided by visions that illuminate the night. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Of our galaxy. And with the horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Chasing the dreams that fill the night. A symphony night, we one our name. A symphony, a wonder, we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Voices flow with the cosmos, whisper our name. A symphony of wonder unheard of a celestial refines. And with each passing moment our wisdom grows. In the dance of the universe the truth flows. In the quiet of the night we dream and fly, with questions that echo through an endless sky. Bound by the stars our story unfolds. In the universe our destinies are told.
Alright. From this combination X-Quest, the truth is our guide in the vast expanse. It's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us. Everything's alright. SNX-RADIO, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bring shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots. Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats. Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call. On this road we will never fall. Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc. Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold.
In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright. SNX-RADIO, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots. Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX-RADIO's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX-RADIO, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Come on, let's go. Ooh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow. Subnation X radios glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're on a ride, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a really exciting and special episode of SNX Radio, but it's not just SNX Radio. We have Typical Skeptic podcast, Rob, here with us tonight. Hey, Rob.
Hey, what's up?
Rob is always working, yeah. So we have a really exciting guest, but before we do, I just want to introduce everybody. As you know, I am COLEY, and I'm a host here at SNX Radio. We have James Kelly, who's right beside me. James, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself quick to everybody? And then I'm going to start going through the chat like I always should. But yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is James Kelly. I have been an experiencer since I was 6 years old. I live in American Fork, Utah, out in the Rocky Mountains. So I'm just glad to be here. COLEY she's just awesome.
Oh, I paid him to say. No, I'm joking. James is amazing. He really is. And Rob, how do you want to go ahead and enter? I know with everybody probably knows who Rob is. If you don't, you will today. And he has an amazing channel. He's all over the place on YouTube, on Rumble. Well, Rob, I'll let you can tell it for yourself. But yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Rob from the Typical Skeptic podcast. Me and COLEY do a lot of shows together, and I do a lot. Sometimes I do multiple shows a day, and I've interviewed some of the biggest names in the industry, and I love what I do. I love it, honestly. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got some exciting stuff that we can't really talk about right now, but we just stay tuned because we are definitely planning some more fun things and some really amazing stuff coming up. But yeah, so tonight we have the honor and the privilege. If you do not and you have not, if you're on Facebook and you're watching, I do want to encourage you to go and check out this group. We have Darrell Denton with us tonight, and he is the Tennessee Bigfoot guy. No, if you don't, he's had some amazing experiences, and he's done, just some phenomenal things as a person. But yeah, he's known as the Tennessee Bigfoot man. He is a seasoned cryptid researcher, experiencer, and founder of Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. That's the Facebook group that you guys definitely should go. The link is in the description here. So definitely go and check his group out. It's amazing in so many ways, and I'll let him kind of explain some of that too, but they do an amazing job in the group. So he was born and raised in Tennessee. His life changed forever on November 6th, 1992. I think a lot of us can relate right there. Those words. When he encountered an 8-foot tall black furred creature while deer hunting on his grandfather's farm in Canyon Country. That's amazing. The terrifying experience, well, I guess it was terrifying. I imagine it would have been for I've never encountered one, but I definitely 8 foot tall. That's big. He describes as facing the most evil looking thing that he had ever seen, kept him out of the woods for nearly 7 years. So in 1999, while fishing on a Cumberland River, Darrell, had a second encounter with 2 juvenile Bigfoots. He goes on and on. And he since too, he's former small town alderman, commissioner and mayor of Ridgetop, Tennessee for over 24 years. We were talking about that behind stage and how that alone right there is tricky and difficult. So he's a business owner, a single father, and he's splitting his time between Tennessee and Virginia. So he's finalizing his first book for release. He's working on some amazing people on amazing investigations. So stay tuned for that. And I thought this was great. And he wanted to thank his many friends, colleagues, and community. And he shares with his awesome lady, Rosie McCoy. So I thought that was cute. I had to make sure everybody heard that. So without further ado, let's bring Darrell on and let him tell you a little bit about himself. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Welcome, Darrell. Yes, thank you. I hope I got that right. You have so much experience that I can't really summarize it all into. But yeah, go ahead and tell everybody, who is Darrell and how did your encounters, and like you said, you're not just covering Bigfoot. You're interested in dogmen and all these other ones. So I would love to kick it off and tell everybody, a little bit about yourself.
Hey, first of all, I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me, and all of y'all showing up and getting us through this podcast here. It's pretty amazing that I've been on a lot of these over the years, and I get excited about all of them. Everything you said is pretty much spot on, except I'm actually between Tennessee and New Jersey, not Tennessee and Virginia. But I've experienced so many things in my lifetime since 1992 that it's pretty crazy. My grandmother was Lakota Sioux, American Indian, and she always told me I had special abilities. I never knew what those special abilities were or what that actually meant, because a lot of times your grandparents and your parents build you up a little higher than you actually are. But after I had my first encounter in '92, it completely changed my life, and it's pretty much been like a roller coaster ever since. So. I've been I've been pretty frightened before. I never scared easy until that particular occasion in November 6th, 92. And it took me 7 years to go in the woods again. I barely hunted anymore. And I'd hunted my grandfather's farm all my life. So,
wow. Yeah. So you're right out there, huh?
I was out there. Yeah. I've never been quite that far in though. That was a lot further distance than I'd been into the woods. It was a good 45-minute walk to where I was hunting, and before I hunted, 15, 20 minutes from the house. So yeah, it was life-changing. It really was. I never knew anything like that existed in the woods.
So take us back to that day where you encountered, it quote unquote says this, and I've checked it. Is that like what you were thinking? This is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, what were you? What was that moment like? Because I know for a lot of us, you can take it.
I don't know that I said it was the most terrified. I said it was probably the meanest, ugliest looking creature I'd ever seen, and I had no idea that those things even existed, especially in Tennessee. But I'd heard of Bigfoot and heard of them most of my life, but they were supposed to be out west in Oregon or Pacific Northwest, or maybe British Columbia, that area. I had no idea they were in Tennessee, but that particular morning started off me and three of my friends that went to my grandfather's every year to hunt. And it was opening week of black powder, which is a muzzleloader type of a round ball. Old time type rifle that you use a ramrod to pack the powder, and that lasts a week in Tennessee, and you can kill either sex, be a doe or a buck, and it's usually the best opportunity to kill a larger deer. So I was mainly a trophy hunter. I wasn't trying to kill one just for the meat, just mainly for a big rack. I was into that at that particular time, and I'd asked my grandfather. We'd all set up there on that Sunday, me and Scott and Cody and Jason, guys I'd hunted with 5 years up there. I pulled my camper up there. I had a real nice camper. I don't know, it's 28, 30 foot long, and we parked it next to my grandfather's barn and set it up. And, we had lights and everything. They followed me with a truck with a trailer on it. We all had ATVs, and we were set up ready to hunt for a whole week. And I'd asked my granddad. My granddad at that time was 92 years old, and he was living on the farm by himself. My grandmother had moved to town, and he pretty much told me, he said, if you want to get a big deer, he pointed out on the back porch of his house. He said, do you see that third hollow over there, that hilltop? And I said, yeah. He said, that's where I would go. And he said, it's a good walk, but if you go back there, your chances will be a lot better to see a trophy deer, because nobody's probably been back there in 20 or 30 years. So I took my grandfather's word for it. He and I were really close. I practically lived on his farm growing up, and raised tobacco with him and helped him cut it, and hay and everything else, all the regular farm chores as a kid does growing up. And it's a rural area, very rural. It's about 92 miles from Nashville. And, I headed out over there the day before, and I go to his backyard across to about a 200-yard wide field, and go through a gate and cross over a barbed wire fence and go up a hillside. And these hillsides are 45-degree angle. They're steep. And I had to go over, 3 of those to get to the spot he was telling me. And I did. And by the time I got there, I was a little tired from climbing those hills. And I went down to the bottom of that particular hill. And he said, there'll be a creek there, and you'll know you're at the right spot. And there was an old grist mill there. He said, that's my old home place, and you've been there when you were younger, and by vehicle, though, and that'd be the spot for you to go. So basically, that's what I did. I carried my climbing stand on my back, and I got to that spot. I found a tree and put it around the tree, and then I walked across the creek and found a spot to put there was a kind of a clearing there in the woods. It was a pretty good open spot where you could see good. And I put my stand on a hill, and this tree I put my stand on was about at a 45-degree angle on the side of this hill. It's straight up. So I'm kind of overlooking that clearing and that creek. And, I did that. I walked across the creek, like I said, and I had a drag rag, which is a rag you put around your boot, and it puts scent on it, and it kills the human scent as you go into the woods. And a lot of times the male deer, the buck, will follow that scent to wherever it's at. And when I crossed the creek, I went across and I found a tree, and the limb was probably 7-8 foot up, and I jumped up and caught it. I'm 6'5", so I jumped up and grabbed the branch and pulled it down and tied that drag rag that it was on my boot to that limb, and it went up a couple feet above my head, and that kind of makes it saturate down the hollow over that night and maybe draw something in. And went back across and climbed over the hills and pretty much went back to my campsite to where my buddies were at. And my granddad came down and hung out with us and did our regular thing. And I said, wake me up in the morning and come and knock on the camper when you go to do your feeding and milk the cows, and I'll head to my spot. And 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, he knocked on the side of my camper and he said, boy, time to get up. And I headed that way. And as soon as I went through the back part of the field there behind his house, you have to cross that large sage field where the cows are at. And it's sage grass this time of year. It's kind of dead grass, but it's tall. And I walked on across that till I got to that barbed wire fence and climbed across the fence and headed up the side of the hill with my black powder rifle on my shoulder and headed to my tree stand. And took a couple steps after I crossed the fence, and I heard something walking to the left of me. And it kind of startled me because it sounded like bipedal. It didn't sound like a cow or a horse. It sounded like someone walking. And I knew my friends weren't hunting in there because we had a huge area to hunt. They were all in different directions. And most of them were in stands we had built in years before. And I stopped and shot my flashlight and did not see anything. But I heard it walking again, and I was just kind of hurried on up the hill. And these hills are good from the bottom to the top. They're steep and a good climb. And by the time I got to the last hill and climbed over it, I went on down the hill. And as I started going down that hillside, I heard something to the top of the hill to the left of me, and it was pretty loud. Something was walking heavily in the leaves. There was a lot of leaves on the ground. And I shined the flashlight again. When I stopped, it would stop, and kind of startled me a little bit because I thought someone was in my hunting ground. I went on down, found my got in it into the tree stand. So I hung my backpack on one limb and my binoculars on another limb, and I don't know if you can hear me or not. Are you losing me?
No, you just kind of you're good. Keep going. Yeah, no, I was just before, but you're good. Yeah. Sometimes it does that once in a while. Keep going. Everybody, I have to tell you this. I was reading the comments, and it just real quick, everybody is like, they're digging your voice. They said you could have voiceover. I mean, your accent. I mean, you're really killing the crowd with that. So yeah, they're really enjoying listening to you. Go on. Yeah, keep talking.
I don't know what's going on there. I lost you guys. I thought you couldn't hear me. So anyway, I got in my tree stand. I got up, set up there, and it was still dark. It was probably 5:30 in the morning, 4:45. And I tied my safety strap on me to the tree behind me, and had the binoculars on one side of the tree on a limb I cut off, and my backpack to the other side with my reloads for my black powder. I just got comfortable, and I have a little bar in front of that stand that it pulls out, and it's right under your chin. It's like a little bar you can lay your arms on and your gun against, and it has a camo cover that follows all the way to below your feet, which pretty much conceals you being in the tree. And I'm pretty much set up and ready to go, and thinking there's a big deer down there because I've seen lots of signs the day before, and I waited till daylight, and as daylight come up, it was a real foggy morning. I didn't realize it was quite that foggy. When the sun come up, we started coming up. It was real foggy across the creek. This creek was about 10 or 12 foot wide, but it was probably 2 or 3 foot deep, and it was running pretty strong. And I watched that as the fog dissipated, and I could see the clearing pretty good across from it. I could see the drag rag still hanging in that tree. So I had a pretty good advantage to overlook that area as something came in. And I looked to the left of me, and there was a huge cane put. And the cane looks kind of like bamboo. It's a huge cane that grows on the river in Tennessee in the creeks. And it can be 12 or 15 foot tall, and it's real thick. It can be 3 or 4 inches round. And to the left of me, as far as I could see, was this cane thick, real thick and green and tall. It stays that way all year round, and I didn't notice it the day before. I guess I didn't pay much attention to it. But as I sat in my stand a little bit before 8 that morning, I heard something over in that area, and I seen 3 deer walk out. They walked through the creek, up the creek, on top of the creek bank, and there's a game trail on top of the creek bank that went right by that tree that had the drag rag hanging in it. And they walked up on the game trail, they walked over, and they were just kind of like milling around in the leaves, and it was a real large acorn harvest that year. These deer were eating the acorns. There was a large doe and probably a couple of her yearlings. They weren't fully grown, but they were with her. One was to the left of her, one was to the right. And I watched these deer for a good while as they just moved around and eat acorns, and they would look up and look around a little bit. And I watched them for a good while, which that was a very good sign to see a female deer in the area, because that's usually the bucks are drawn to them that time of year if they're in estrus or what we call mud. I've been watching those deer for quite a while, and all of a sudden I noticed the large doe, the female, the mother of probably those two, was looking to the left, and her head had completely frozen. She was just as still as she could be, looking somewhere toward that cane thicket to the other side of it that I couldn't see. And I looked at the other 2 deer; they were both frozen too, and looking right at that. And I know that's normally something has got their attention, and I wouldn't think it would be anything that they weren't used to, but about that time, the female deer stuck her nose up in the air and blew real loud. And when they blow, it kind of sounds like somebody almost sneezing in the woods. It's real loud. And when they do that, it's something to startle them a little bit. And she raises her right front hoof and pounds it on the ground a couple of times, like she's trying to get something to move. And I'm thinking, well, there's a huge buck that's about to come out of this cane thicket over here. So that's what I've got on my mind. That's what you would think. And then she just freezes again. She's looking right at that area, and I'm thinking, well, something's going on here. There's got to be a buck in the cane thicket. And then all of a sudden she turns to the right, and she runs right in front of me as fast as she can to the right, across in front of me, with the 2 younger deer following her. And she's running like somebody shot at her, just scared her to death. And it was like I'd never seen anything like that without somebody firing a rifle or something at them. And that, like, she was really frightened. And I watched her run off until she went where I couldn't see her anymore. And I continued looking to the left, thinking, well, what's in there coming out? I'm thinking it's a massive, large buck deer with a large antler rack. And I keep looking, and then all of a sudden I see this cane moving, and it's swaying in the top. But this stuff's so thick, it's hard to get through. But kind of in the middle of it, not right next to me, but a little further into it, I can see this stuff swaying. Something's coming through it. And I'm thinking, this is one big deer to move this cane like this. And I watch it to the end, and then right at the end, the cane stops swaying, and this creature steps out. And when it stepped out, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was looking at it thinking, what is that? I've never seen anything like that in the woods. And it took one step, and it jumped one leap across the creek it lands on the top of the creek bank on where that game trail is, and it walks right down closer to where that drag rag was. This tree, I'm on a huge hillside, like 45-degree angle, and this tree's straight up. I'm kind of overlooking the creek. I'm kind of looking down on this creature by the angle I'm at, and this thing walks right in front of me, looking directly down toward it. It knew exactly where I was at. It looks at me. It shows me its teeth, and it kind of grits its teeth at me. Then it growls at me. And by this time, I'm literally thinking, what in the world is this? I was literally trying to get my breath this time because I'd never seen anything that looked as mean and ugly as this thing. And it wasn't happy. And then it goes to the right a little bit on that game trail. It goes to where that drag rag is. It reaches up, it grabs the rag, it pulls it down, smells of it, and then grabs the limb and rips the whole limb out of the tree, throws the limb on the ground. This wasn't a massive limb. It was probably 2 or 3 inches in diameter at the base of the tree, but still it got my attention. And then it walks right back to where it was, and it's staring at me again. And this thing's mad. It's not happy that I'm there. It's growling. It's got its teeth gritted, and it's looking right at me like it's just wants to kill me. Well, by this time, I'm thinking I've got one shot with a 50 caliber muzzleloader that I think I'm going to kill this thing with one shot in case it tries to attack me. And I didn't think I could. I didn't think one bullet was going to bring this thing down. And I was trying to figure out another way to get out of the situation I was in. And then about that time, this creature looks at me and lets out this scream that I've never heard since. A scream yell, kind of both together, and it echoes all down this hollow. And it's looking at me, and I can see its mouth open as it's screaming so loud. Well, I'm thinking this is it. This thing is going to come across the creek, and it's going to pull me out. So I'm going to go down with a fight. And after it done that, it looked at me, and it was like it was really mad, and then it just turned and walked straight into the wood line and looked back at me one time as I was in the tree. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm lucky to be here because this thing was going to kill me. And as soon as I watched it walk out of the wood line to where I didn't see it again, I lowered that bar. And it takes a good 15 minutes, sometimes a little less or a little more to get down. I can take the strap off and go down that climbing stand. I was up 25, 28 feet, so it's a good time to get down. So I just lowered the bar and jumped out of the top of the tree. And I landed on that hillside in the leaves. I slid all the way down into the creek, standing up with my gun above my head. I looked across the creek bank. I did not see the creature. And I run up and out of the creek bank, water up below my waist, and I took off running back to where I came in. And I'm running as hard as I can. And I'm looking back, and I don't see it. And by the time I got to the top of the first hill, I was so out of wind that I could barely go. I was just out of breath. And I'm looking back, and I didn't see it. And I got to the top of the hill, then I run down that one, and I'm going up to the other side of the second hill. I'm looking up on the hill to see if this thing's still there or coming after me. And there it stands, just looking right at me on top of that hill. Now, thinking back today, after all these years, I don't now believe it was the same creature. I believe it was a different one, but it was just standing there watching me, and all that did was kick in my adrenaline and make me run harder and faster. So I ran as hard as I could till I got to the top of the third hill, and I didn't see it again. And by the time I got to the bottom of that hill, that barbed wire fence that I had to climb over to get to my grandfather's sage field there, I decided I wouldn't climb it. I was jumping it. So I'm running down this hill as fast as I can go. And I mean, I'm just out of control. And I cleared the fence, but it caught my pants and ripped a big tear from my knee all the way up and cut a big gash in my leg. But I just kept running. I looked down behind me and it wasn't there. And by the time I cleared that roughly 200-yard wide sage field and got to my backyard there, I didn't see it. I went through that gate. I locked the gate. Went into the back of the house, which is the kitchen area of my grandfather's old country house. It was just an old farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. And I went through the back door and I shut the screen door and put the little hook on it and then shut the big door and locked it. And I'm looking out the window. I don't see this thing. And I run into the right into the living room area. And my grandfather's sitting there to the left in his rocking chair and had a big potbelly stove between the corner of the living area and the room. And I sat down behind it. I was so out of breath, I couldn't even talk. I just sat down on the floor, and my granddad was just looking at me. He said, "Boy, what's wrong with you?" And I couldn't talk. I was so out of gas. I just couldn't get my breath. And he says, "You look like you seen a ghost." And I finally got my breath. I said, "No, I seen a monster in the woods." And he said, "A monster?" He said, "There ain't no monsters around here." And I was still trying to get my breath. I get up and go down into the kitchen area, look out the window, look out the side windows, make sure this thing wasn't still coming. And I'm still thinking it's coming back. And didn't see it. And finally got my breath, and I sat down there next to the couch area with my granddad. And he said, "What did it look like?" And I told him, I said, "It was about 8 foot tall. It was huge body. It was the ugliest, meanest looking thing I ever seen." And he goes, "Oh, you seen a wood booger?" And I said, "A wood booger?" I said, "What is a wood booger?" He said, "I've seen 4 in my lifetime, and they'll come sometimes when I'm working in the field and just watch me." He said, "They're real territorial. I didn't think to tell you that there might be one over in there." And I said, "Granddad, I've been on this farm all my life and lived here with you. You never told me anything about a wood booger." He said, "Well, if I'd have told you that, you wouldn't have hunted in the woods, and you wouldn't have camped in the woods, and you wouldn't have spent the night in the barn with your cousins and your friends." And he said, "That's why I didn't say much about it, because they won't harm you as long as you don't bother them. But it sounds to me like you got in his territory and it scared you." And I said, "Well, it did more than scare me." I said, "I thought that thing was going to kill me." And that's how I got started. So my granddad said he'd seen 4 in his lifetime. He said in the wintertime they came to his house, and he had a big chicken house to the left. I had a lot of chickens in it, and they came to his house, and they'd take 3 or 4 chickens in the winter, and they'd leave a little pile of rocks and sticks like they were paying for it. And that's pretty much how he'd lived with them all his life, and he never had a problem with one of them.
So did he, I've heard people leaving gifts for them. Is that kind of what it was, or a token? The whole time I had to stop myself. I was going to ask you, I bet your grandpa saw them. You know, it usually runs in the family lines, and just the way that he was encouraging you out there. So that's amazing. Did he?
Well, he didn't feel like that it was anything to worry about, but you know, I did, because first of all, I didn't know anything like that lived in the woods. And you know, I guess it was just a startling part of it. You know, I had never expected anything like that in the woods. And I felt pretty assured my granddad was always a straight up guy, and I had no idea that he would tell me wrong. But it was definitely life changing. It completely changed my life. I had nightmares. I don't scare easy. I don't ever remember being scared. I really don't until that day. Maybe a little frightened or something, but not scared, not where I wouldn't go back. And I knew all the animals are in those woods, and I'd never seen anything like that. And, you know, it really changed my life. I had nightmares for months. And I actually didn't go in the woods for almost 7 years. And I didn't hunt. What hunting I did do, I did out of my truck on my farm or his farm. I just sat in the truck. I wouldn't go in the woods. And, you know, it really changed my life. And I don't really think that I think that people don't understand till they see something like that. And when the situation I was in was completely different than just seeing one cross the road. You know, I thought this thing was going to kill me. It sure ain't like that it wanted to, but it didn't. And now all those years go by, knowing what I know now, if it would have wanted to kill me, it could have. And I don't think that it wanted that. I think I was in, like my granddad said, I was probably in his area and maybe messing up his hunt instead of mine.
Yeah. Hey, Darrell, do you think by having, I know I bow hunt, I used to, and I'd always have scent. So do you think the scent that you were having from the deer could have brought him around, like he was traversing you or watching you the whole time?
I think that could have had something to do with it, because that scent is pretty strong, and it's made to bring in a buck deer. But I can see how that creature, knowing what I know now about those creatures, I definitely believe that could have been part of it. Yes.
So when you actually saw him and he was standing there and he was gritting his teeth at you, like he was like, "What are you doing in my area?" Did you get a good look at him? What was the description?
Oh, yeah. Look at him, yeah.
Could you describe kind of what, you said his teeth were, showing and he was grinding around?
His teeth weren't like fangs or anything else. They were just like human teeth. They were square. They were yellowed, but they were square teeth. They weren't anything any unnormal than a human teeth. But he had a real, his face was like black leather, and he had hair all over his head. Right in the of his forehead there wasn't any hair, and right around his eyes there wasn't any hair, but underneath his hair down was all hair, and he was solid black. And he had, something had happened to him, or maybe it was some type of deformity when he was born, but the right side of his mouth was kind of a contortion, like it was kind of twisted a little bit, which made him look even meaner. But it didn't look normal. It looked like something had either happened to him, or he was maybe born with some type of deformity or something. But he was definitely mad, and he had a massive body. His legs were not real big from his knees down. I couldn't see his feet good. They were in the leaves. But he was just I come up to the figure about 8 foot tall, because I'm 6.5 foot, and if I stretch my arm out, I'm about 8 foot to the top, and that's about where I hung the drag rag on that branch, and that's about where his head was at that branch. So he was real close to 8 foot, maybe a couple inches more or a couple of inches less, but he was real close to that. But
do you think when you were walking back to the cabin, and you said you ran into another being there, a creature, do you think it was a family that was watching you?
I do think that. I do know that these creatures now, over the years of the research I've done, and by fortune I've been with some of those creatures, that they do live in clans. They have families. So it's usually what they call a large elder, and usually several adolescent males, or a couple of females and some juveniles, or I don't know exactly how they all work, because but I know that it was probably a family that lived there, because where there's one, there's got to be another one. So, and they do also run it. Some of those creatures will become rogue, and I believe that when they're kicked out of their clan for something they've done, they will venture off and try to find another clan to join, and if they can't, they'll become kind of rogue on their own, or run into another maybe creature that's become rogue too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chloe.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, do you think in your experience, and we got some questions too, do you think in your experience that these are interdimensional beings? Are they something that we just can't see, or out of our spectrum of light? Do they live among us? I mean, what do you think they are?
Oh, I 100% know what I believe. The ones on the river that I was so close to for nearly 5 years, that I visited every day or every other day until the last week that I seen them. The last couple of weeks I seen them. I had a lot of confidence with them and a lot of trust built over the years I went in there, and they did with me also. And I definitely think that, well, first of all, I believe Dr. Melba Ketchum's findings are 100%. I don't think that she was incorrect at all. And the Genome Project in 2011 and 12, there's over 101 samples of DNA presented, and quite a few of my close friends were involved in that. The late Scott Carpenter was involved in it. Those samples included saliva, blood, tissue, and hair. And I know, for example, Scott turned in quite a bit of the hair to those for that research, and that DNA showed that they were 58% human female. the other 42% unknown creature. And I believe that DNA was correct, and I believe what Dr. Melvin Ketchum done on that study. And also by what I've learned from the creatures on the river that I spent time with and became very close to, they were from another galaxy. Their ancestors were, and I believe that they probably bred with. I've heard of the American indigenous people, the American native, the real Americans talk of these creatures coming in the middle of the night and stealing women and children, and that happened in a lot of camps across the United States. In a lot of different states, these creatures would come in and steal women and children in the night, and I have no doubt in myself that they probably bred with a human female, and I believe they're a human hybrid, is what I believe. They are flesh and blood, but they do have special abilities like like most of us would never understand. It's kind of mind-boggling, but they definitely know your intentions. You don't have to say anything. They know your intentions. They do not like guns. They do not like cameras. They don't like bright or plaid coloring. I've learned a lot from those creatures, what they do and don't like, and
so you mean the plaid? Like the hunters are out there, they don't like the plaid. Is it the coloring? Is that what you're?
They do not like plaid, a bright checked or orange. They don't like any of those bright colors. And my number one reason for believing they don't like those colors is probably because they relate those colors to hunters. And a lot of hunters have shot these creatures. They've shot their family members, you get somebody in the woods and one of these creatures steps out, 50 or 60 foot from them and scares them to death. They're not going to be like me. A lot of them are sitting there with a rifle, and they'll probably shoot at them or shoot them several times, in fear.
Yeah, you're right.
I do believe that's the reason they don't like those colors. When I visited the family on the river all those years, I would always put the same clothes I had on from day one. I would change right before I went in, and they seem to prefer me looking the same as I always did. But they are super, super intelligent. They have a way of reading you. I don't know exactly how they do that, but they do. And I've never seen one go interdimensional in front of me. I have seen one go behind a tree and not come out. I don't know where it went because there's nowhere for it to go. But I do believe they're safe.
Do you think they're benevolent, or do you think they're like? Do you think it's a mix between they're good or bad, or like what do you get from that? What resonates with you as far as like their demeanor and like how they feel towards us?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of different types. I believe that I've experienced at least 4 or 5 different types of Bigfoot. The ones on the river I call the forest people because I truly believe that's what they are. They're an ancient human hybrid. I think there's different type of these creatures. The one I first seen was the wood booger. I never seen another one of those, and I hope I never do. I've also experienced a couple of other different looking ones in different areas, the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, an area of Montana. They're just different creatures. Like some of them they're just like humans. Some of them are friendly, some of them aren't. Some of them don't want to be around people. Some of them are very aggressive, and I truly think some of them have the ability, and probably you're on the menu. They're not all friendly.
Did you say you're on the menu? Is that what you said?
Exactly right. I do.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard that right.
I don't think all of them are friendly. There's different types. So just like I said, they're just like humans. I mean, most of us are good people and we'll try to do what we're supposed to do, but there's also that part of these people that are our human race that, would kill somebody or harm somebody. So the biggest majority of them I've been around have been very friendly. I won't say friendly. They've been elusive. The ones on the river, I had 3 of those that were friendly. The other part of the clan didn't really get close to me like those did. And there are other types out there that just quite frankly don't want you around them at all. They don't want you. They want you out of the area.
Have you experienced a relationship with them where you've had any kind of gifting or anything like that? I hear gifting's big in the Bigfoot community. Like some people
I started gifting in 1999, and I never even heard of gifting back then. And it was I think I don't even remember when I first heard of anybody gifting with them. I guess it was probably in the probably 2015 or 16, probably. But I those creatures on the river, after they had stole my minute bucket for 3 weeks, I thought it was people in there doing it. But after I found out it was the creature, I was pretty frightened again. I said, I don't want to be around these things. Here I am finding another one. All I was doing was fishing. I was going in the middle of a rural area where I'd fished when I was a kid, and I wasn't looking for these things, but I run into them by complete accident, and it probably was the best thing that ever happened to me, because if I hadn't had formed a relationship like I did with those creatures, I probably would have never got over my first experience, because then I realized that not all these creatures by any means are like the first one I met. These creatures were very friendly. They weren't aggressive. They trusted me because, like I believe they can read you. They know what's in someone's heart. Even a lot of horses or dogs can do that with people. They just have that ability. But I think there's a lot more good ones than there are bad ones.
So is this like the middleman we're seeing here, or what do you think? I mean, because that's pretty intense. And what do you think their connection with you is? And I guess after this week, if you guys are good, we'll probably just take a little bit of a break and come back and get right into it with Darrell. But what do you think on like, I guess how closely connected are we? Is this animal instinct that they have, or is this more calculated? And I guess what's your take on all that?
I think the biggest thing about Bigfoot to me, I never set out for this journey. It just happened to me, and I just fell into it. But after what I've learned now, there's one statement that I really believe in. Bigfoot finds you. You don't find him. If they don't want you to find them, if they don't trust you, or they sense you have something in you that are there to harm them, you don't have good intentions, you're not going to see one. And how they have that ability, I couldn't tell you. But I do know they have it, and I do know they are very sincere. And what I mean by that is, if they trust you, then they trust you. They're very hard to get to know, because they suffered so many casualties over the lifetime of their ancestors of people shooting them or shooting at them and killing them. And I do know that most of them are leery of humans for that reason. If you catch one on a trail camera, you are so lucky, because you only caught them on a trail camera because they wanted you to. I used to put out trail cameras when I first got started, and they would tear them off the tree and smash them to pieces. I put out 4, and I did that too. Plus, they can see the infrared and the light, and they're not going to allow you to take pictures of them. So they're just amazing creatures. They really are. I guess people don't understand how many there are. It's amazing to me. I heard somebody say there might be 4,000 or 5,000 in the U.S. at a conference I was speaking at last year. I literally just about laughed. There might be that many in Middle Tennessee, because there's a whole lot more of these creatures than people understand. And they've become a lot more numbers since I got into it. So they can live in your city park, and you won't see them. They'll come in the nighttime and ravage through the dumpsters and the trash cans trying to find an easy meal. And I've had plenty of people call me. They're in downtown behind restaurants at 2:30 in the morning, stealing bags of trash out because they're trying to get an easy meal. So, these creatures are a lot more abundant than we understand.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I hate to even stop here because that just like triggered so many questions. But a lot of it, and people like, I know that we have like we talk a lot of UFOs here, but that is so much similar to how I feel like, encountering any of this. It's like they know, and it's like you almost like they sense your every move, and you kind of become so in tune with them. So it's just absolutely amazing and fascinating. I just, wow. Wow. So if everybody, this is the worst probably time to do it, but we're just going to give Darrell a little bit. We're just going to take a couple minute break if that's okay. We're not going to run as long as we usually do, but, and get back to it if that works. And wow.
That's right.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah.
Unraveling the mystery, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside. In the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Submission X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the Submission X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright. SNX-RADIO, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX-RADIO, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX-RADIO's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX-RADIO, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.
unfold, one of a kind. Off-world encounters, truth they must find. Open your heart, release your mind. Take the leap, step into the light. With SNX-RADIO we will ignite a symphony of strange where the bass drops low. Journeying deep where the unknown flows. Life beyond the veil of sight. What secrets kept from our human plight? COLEY's conversations stir the thread. An awakening call for the living and the dead. Take the leap, step into the night. With SNX-RADIO we will ignite a symphony of strange where the bass drops low. Journeying deep where the unknown flows. As the echoes fade and the night draws near, the truths we seek become crystal clear. With SNX-RADIO, keep your mind open wide for in the journey we all come from.
I always thought when you talked about UFOs this happened, but you know, Rob and I were talking about this before, how the music got stuck on for some reason. All this time later, it happens again, so I apologize. Oh my God!
A journey awaits far from our home. Realms unseen where
Bear with me 2 seconds. I will
experts
stop.
align, their truth to share. Unfolding the fabric of cosmic despair. Take the leap, step into.
Done. Okay. Yeah, we're back. I couldn't even control anything. I thought, Rob, why do we talk about this before? Everything always tends to happen when you do. So anyway, now that we have recovered from whatever had taken over there for a second, we're back with Darrell, and he's had some amazing experiences. And do chat. We have your questions. I see Polly. I thank you. I appreciate your questions so much. And I have them starred, so we will definitely get to them. But yeah, without Darrell's is just getting into some of the good stuff, talking about the different types of Bigfoot. You know, they're different. And he's saying that there's a spectrum, just like people. They're not just good because they're Bigfoot, or just bad because they are. And you really think they're really right here living among us. So let's get back into it.
Okay,
All right.
ask my question.
Sounds
I
good.
wanted to ask you, Darrell.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
in the-
Go ahead.
Go
I was
ahead,
going to say,
Rob.
did you ever have any UFO? It's okay. Did you ever have any UFO encounters?
I have
as well as
not.
Bigfoot?
I have never had any UFO encounter now.
It's Rob.
Wow.
Doesn't it have an eerie, like similar? Like I feel like when he was talking about that, if he just replaced, Bigfoot with, there's just so many, and people too. When you encounter one, it changes everything, and it sounds like it did that to you too. It just changed the whole course of life.
Definitely, yeah. I think I'm calm now for the first. Like I said, I truly believe if I hadn't met what I call the forest people on the Cumberland River in Tennessee fishing, I don't think I would have ever recovered from my first encounter. I mean, I got over it, but I was just not the same person. I was, quite frankly, didn't feel like I was comfortable in the woods. But after counteracting with those creatures for nearly 5 years and becoming very close to them, and I would consider those creatures as my friends. I never thought I would touch one of them, but they touched my shoe and I touched their finger, and they were super good. They were good human beings in this world, but they were good as far as in the forest people world, you couldn't have found better ones than those. They were just friendly and kind.
Wow, that's crazy. I know I have to ask you this because somebody did reach out and they said that they heard you on another podcast and that you were talking about a female. And I thought this was interesting. Like you knew that some were adolescents, you knew some were females, were males, and that a particular one tried to, encourage like more of a relationship, I guess, with you. And I guess, do they have that right? Is
I never had any type of relationship. I don't know what exactly how to take that, but I never had
they kind of, well, like you said, they're touching your shoe. They're touching, they kind of, back and forth.
Sure. The female that I first met, she and I became very close, and she was young. She was not, she was between a juvenile and an adolescent. She was probably about 5.5 foot tall. Probably when I first met her, she was the one that was stealing. Her and her brother were the ones who stole my minnow bucket. Me thinking it was people doing it. Of course, I was in a super rural area, and I never even seen anybody fishing there. But I just couldn't imagine why my minnow bucket kept disappearing. But it was her and her brother. But she was very. But she was. When I did find out what had taken my minnow bucket, they were eating my minnows. So there was only one in the bucket when I caught them, and it was probably 4 or 5 dozen in there before that. So, it was pretty frightening when I first seen those creatures because I didn't want to be a part of that again. And they didn't look anything like the one I'd seen previously, but I didn't want to be a part of being around those creatures again. I'd already been through enough with those creatures, but I'm glad I did now because I became very close to them and learned a whole lot from them, and I feel like they learned a lot from me. So it was definitely a good experience, and if I could find another family like that, I would more than happily go back and do that again.
Yeah, Darrell, real quick question I have. I know there's a lot of different investigators that's been through Bigfoot and listened to them. What do you think is the number one communication they use? I know a lot of people have talked about they use telepathy with humans. What do you think about any of that?
I definitely believe they can use telepathy, or what we call mind speak. I never allowed them to do that, and when I say allow them to do that, I didn't have those on the river try. I don't believe at one time. You can tell when they're trying. I was always leery to put my mind aside to do that they're not harm me. So that was the reason I never done it, and I never tried again that I'm aware of. They definitely have their own language. They have their complete own language. They do understand the English language. They can speak English words. They do understand the Lakota Sioux language, which I know some words. I used to be able to speak that some, and they probably know other languages, but they do have their own, and they use it quite often. And when I would leave, I would say, bye, I'll see y'all tomorrow or the next day, bye, and I would turn around to walk off. And I would hear all through the huge kudzu patches. If you know what a kudzu is, it looks like huge vine patches. They're real thick. They grow on the riverbank all up to this train track close to where these were at. And I couldn't see all the ones in the family in there. The 3 that I seen regularly, as I would leave, I'd say, bye, I'll see y'all tomorrow or the next day. Because I was there every day or every other day. And they would say, bye, 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 a different tone of voice. They were mocking me saying, bye, bye. And it was when I first heard that, I was just like, wow, they can actually say English words. But after I got to thinking about it, they were actually just mocking me. But they can speak English words. They 100% can. I finally got out of them after 3.5, 4 years in there. I would take them their favorite foods. There was a lot of stuff I took them over the years. They brought me fish. They brought me several fish. They brought me baskets. They brought me a milk carton, a cardboard milk carton they made for me that they found probably in the river somewhere. It was an old half-gallon cardboard milk carton that at one time was red and white, but it faded to like a pink and white. And they stuck sticks through all four sides, and the sticks come out to form an X on all four sides of the box. And they wrapped some like vine around that, and their marker for the type people they were was the X. They had huge X's in the woods, and that's the marker they use for what they call their family. For some reason, the X is what they chose. So I learned a lot from them on that. I carried them whistles one time, plastic whistles, like you go to the dime store or the dollar store or whatever, and purchase and get a little bag of them for a birthday party. There's 7, 8, 10 of them in there, little plastic whistles with a black string tied around them. And I carried them those as a gift one time. I hung them on all the branches as I was leaving. I would say, here's your gift, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. The next thing I come in, the whole bunch was blowing the whistle. So I knew then these creatures are super intelligent. And they would blow the whistle as I come in, because when I walked in, it was about a 200-yard walk from the place I had to park behind this old water treatment sewer type facility down this trail through the woods. And I would start saying, hey, I'm on my way in. How are you today? Because I wanted them to know it was me and not somebody else coming in. And they would start blowing those whistles. And I would hear them way back in there across the river. They were blowing whistles until I got in and sat down on a 5-gallon bucket that I sat on next to the tree when I visited them and brought them gifts. So that was the first time I knew how intelligent they were.
Wow.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
that is amazing.
That's
that is
crazy,
really
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, like
It
you're
looks
like really building relationships and rapport with them.
No, they were my friends. They were like my family to me. I know it probably sounds pretty crazy, but they were. And they were very close to me. I camped out in there with them. I slept in my sleeping bag next to my tree, and they're over in their big patch. And they didn't sleep next to me, but I could see them in the middle of the night. I had a little fire going there next to me, and they'd come look over the cat zoo to see what I was doing. And I just looked at them, and they'd go back to what they were doing. So they weren't trying to harm me. So, you know, I learned a whole lot from them. And I sure hate that it ended the way it did, but it was. They were fascinating, very intelligent. Like I said many times, I really truly think they're as smart as humans, and maybe even smarter in some ways with their abilities of what they're able to do. But you can, by the time you come out with something you're thinking, they already know what you're going to do. It's just amazing. So I don't know how they do that. I really don't. You know, Ron Moorhead, my best friend, talk about this all the time. And if you've never read a book about energies, read Quantum Bigfoot, which is right here behind my studio. And it is the best book you will ever read if you want to understand how these creatures have a higher energy than we do. And they translate themselves into a higher vibration. That's why the pictures you see of these creatures are a little like that, or they're kind of fur buzz. They just don't look natural. You very rarely see a natural looking Bigfoot picture because, first of all, they don't want you to take pictures of them. But if you do get one, it's not with their consent. So very rarely will you see one unless one allows you to. And I don't know why that would be, but they did allow me to take some pictures. So I took 48 pictures with 2 disposable cameras, and every one of them come out black. Right in front of them. Every picture was solid black. There was nothing on it. And,
I've seen ET do this too. It's like everything you're describing, the relationship, the rapport, the bond. What's your connection with them?
Well, really, you know, I had a connection with those because I felt like I kind of owed them some gratitude because they relieved me of the fear I had inside of me from the first creature that I encountered, and it made me realize that they're not all like that. So you know, it was very easy to like these creatures. Plus, I was on a learning thing too. I was learning so much from them, and I really wanted to learn all I could, and I wanted to learn all they could about me too. And I wanted to relate that not all humans are bad, and not all Bigfoot are bad. These, what I call the forest people, are a little different than some of the others, but they look more like the Patterson-Gimlin type. If you've seen the Patterson-Gimlin, these creatures on the river look more like that type. And there may be a lot of different types. I've seen what I believe 4 or 5 different types, but some people say some of them are 15, 16 foot tall in Alaska. I don't know. I've never seen one over 8 foot, and I've seen a lot of Bigfoot over the years. So, you know, roughly 8 foot, maybe a little less or a little more, but nothing huge like that number. But, you know, I do think that they are increasing in numbers, and I don't think that the government will ever admit they exist. And 2 reasons behind that, in my personal opinion, is first of all, the scientists can't stand the fact that they don't fit anywhere in the evolution. Nowhere. They fit nowhere. Where do they put them? They can't fit them in anywhere, which they don't belong there anywhere. They're their own beings. But, you know, and second of all, the government's not going to, you know, the national park industry is a $2.8 billion. That's with a B industry every year. And you go telling people all the national parks, there's a 8 to 6, 7, 8 foot creature running around the woods that might harm you or kill you. It's going to do a little devastation to the park industry's revenue yearly. So you're not ever going to hear that. So.
No, I've heard some takes on this before, but that seems to be the most logical thing I've heard right there. Right there. Follow the money. Boom. There you go.
Exactly. Everything follows the money, whether we like it or not. It just follows the money. So, unfortunately, I think my biggest thing now is the fact that I don't want people, especially your ma and pa with the grandkids or mom and dad with the kids camping in the woods. I don't want them to go into areas and not realize that not just Bigfoot, because Bigfoot is not nearly the problem as maybe Dogman is going to be, because I don't think all those creatures are as friendly as the Bigfoot are. That some of these creatures could harm you or kill your family. So Martin Groves and myself has spent nearly 30 years in the land between the lakes of Tennessee and Kentucky, and we want people to know that there's a lot of missing people in the forest. And
yeah, I was going to say, Darrell, this ties into the missing 411, and that ties into the UFO phenomena, into it, like the national park stuff. It's really interesting, you know.
Exactly.
Like, but I want to ask you too, like, how do you think they've been able to, like, do you think there's so much supernatural? And we might have already talked about this, but like, they have to be, right? Because like, how are they able to evade humanity so much? Like, they pretty much like know to like stay away from us, you know. Like, they don't ever like. You know what I mean? Like they're just like, they're very evasive.
Well, I do think they have the ability. That's what I was talking about by the higher vibration. You know, Ron Moorhead has the best book I've ever read on that, and I've read it 5 times. Every time I read it, I learn something else. But it explains how they do that. The higher vibration allows them to go interdimensional. Or transfer themselves into not being able to see them. There's been lots of pictures of people. Scott Carpenter had the best I've ever seen of one coming out of a portal in the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. And I do believe these creatures transfer in and out of portals. 100% believe that. I've seen 3 portals, and they're quite frankly terrifying. I would tell if anybody sees a portal, don't get near it. So, you know, we've got a couple of pictures of a creature stepping out of a portal. Also a Bigfoot from Jennifer Appleton in my group. One stepped out on her farm out of a thunderstorm portal. And, you know, I don't know how they do that. I don't know what a portal is. I just know that's what people call it. Some type of interdimensional thing that we don't understand. As far as we know, there could be 4 or 5 dimensions instead of 2 or 3. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know that, but I do think that something exists that we're not aware of, because there's a whole lot of creatures that just appear in certain places and then they vanish real quick, and they're going somewhere. So, you know, I do think Bigfoot's flesh and blood. I really do. I think Dogman is that. Most of them. The one Martin Groves and I seen in the Land Between Lakes in October of 2023. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know what it was, but it was a Dogman of some type, and it was absolutely unbelievable. This thing could have killed us, and it walked down the road, and we could see through it, but it was still a creature. So I don't know how to explain that one. But
wow. So you think Bigfoot's like more like right here, right now, like paranormal? It's like ghosts. I feel like I put my hand through them, but ET, different time, different place. You can hold on to them. Bigfoot's solid right here. Dogman, is he like the paranormal?
Well, I don't. I think there again, I think we're talking about a difference in creatures, because the first Dogman I seen in 2021 in Tazewell County, Virginia, looked like a massive black German Shepherd on 2 feet. And that particular creature was definitely flesh and blood. It didn't look anything but flesh and blood. And it, quite frankly, just kind of freaked me out when it stood up on 2 legs and walked across a fence. But the other Dogman I've seen, the other ones were in the Land Between the Lakes, and I've seen 3 in there, and one of those was like nothing I've ever seen. And I don't even know how to explain what we've seen. It went from a blue mist into a Dogman type creature. It had the head about the size of half the size of our truck windshield, and it turned silver, and you could see light on the tips of its fur, and it had mane around its neck like a lion, and it walked around the back of our truck, walked down the side of Martin's side on his truck, looked back at us, and you could see with a flashlight, it went clean through the creature. It was like it was transparent. So I don't know what that was. I've never seen anything like that. But the other Dogmen that I've seen were flesh and blood. So I wish I had an answer. I don't know. I would like to know, but I don't. So I don't like to add or take away anything that I don't know, and I'm not going to do that. But I would like to know how they're capable of doing some of the things they do.
We appreciate that. I do the same thing. I'm like, people ask, I'm like, I can't, I'm not an expertise on everything here. I can only tell you what I know. Some of the stuff I think is there to put together the pieces,
I agree. I can assure you, I'm no expert at anything except paying bills. So that's about it. So you're so humble, but I've listened to you. I'm like, man, this is so fascinating. I mean, your connection alone, and it's not like everybody, and for whatever reason, not everybody can interact or, even so much as relate, I guess, it's just like you said, I'm sure. And when I was hearing you talk before, how many people have you heard of other people taking shots or fires at them, or is it just never, they don't talk about it? Like, oh yeah, I shot, one of the. Yeah, I get, I'm the kind of person, I don't talk bad about anybody. If I can't say something good, I don't say it at all. That's just my rule for me. And how other people run their life is their own business, but that's what I do. So there's a gentleman who tracks these creatures and kills them. And he tried to join our group, and I know him very well. He's a nice individual. But he's an American native, and I'm part American native too. And I don't believe in killing anything unless it tries to kill me or tries to harm me or my family or friends. I'm not looking to harm it. But this particular person tracks them and kills them, and has claimed to kill quite a few of them. And I'm sure that he probably has. But I don't see a need for that. I really don't. And I don't even see a reason for it. So if something's not trying to harm us, why do we want to harm it? These creatures have a right to feel the way they do toward humans, because, humans are in their house. When you go into the woods, that's their house. That's just like them walking in the front door of your house and sitting on your couch. You went into their woods, that belongs to them. And my people call these creatures the Chayutanka, which means the great elder watcher of the forest. And I truly believe that. They do watch over the forest, and most of those creatures are there for a sole purpose, not to harm anything unless they're trying to be harmed. So, why people, The humans like to destroy things. I don't understand that. I'm not one of those liberals that's off the end, but at the same time, I don't see any reason for somebody wanting to kill a creature when it's done nothing to you.
Don't you think a lot of it's out of fear, like you said before? I just think of sometimes those creatures are bugs, and I'm like ready, like I'm a cold-blooded killer going after them because I'm afraid of them. I don't like them; they freak me out. So I'm just wondering if that's a lot of it.
That's true, COLEY. I do believe that, and I understand that. If you're in your tree stand and you've got 2 or 3 of these creatures running, they're scaring you to death, and you're sitting there with an automatic rifle. Your chances of shooting at a couple of them or trying to kill them is a good possibility. I can't sit here and say I blame you for doing that if you're fearing for your life. But there's a lot of people, too, that go out in the woods for one sole purpose, and that's just to kill them. And there's actually even a TV show on about these 10 or 12 guys that go out in the woods and try to kill these creatures. I just don't see any reason to try to kill them.
Yeah, like poachers, like they're out there, like a thrill
whatever
seeking.
you want to call them, but it's just it's just not a natural thing for that gives them a better reason to hunt us down.
Yeah. I don't think that's necessary. That's so true too. Like I didn't think about it like that. Like I'm sure in some of those parts, it's not even a question if they exist. It's like, hey, and then you got people like that out there. I mean,
I got a feeling there's a whole lot of things in these parks that we don't even know about. I'm sure there's things I don't know about. I just, for the first time in March of 2024 with Ron Moorhead, Martin Groves, and Martin Unley coming down the Trace, which is in the LBL. It's a major road that goes through there. And the LBL is 170,000 acres of just nowhere land. And
that's the land between the lakes, right, Darrell? And there was a Dogman story from there, right?
Right. That's where Martin Groves was attacked in 93 and almost killed by 2 dogmen and 2 what we believe to be Yugway. So, we seen a creature on the side of the road in March of 24. And when I say on the side of the road, I mean, you may not see a car for an hour back there, maybe not a day. I mean, we're talking about the middle of nowhere. This creature was on the side of the road. It was about the size of a grizzly bear. It's huge. And we stopped and shined lights on it and backed up and tried to take a picture of it. But it didn't have a head like a bear. It had the head like an anteater. And I don't know what it was. I've never seen anything like that. 2 nights later, we seen a creature like I've heard of, but I've never seen in an area that we research in. And it was what we call a crawler. It's one of those humanoid-looking things, kind of real thin and pale and whitish gray color. And it was on all fours on the ground. It was just crazy. I'd never seen one, and quite frightening, really. It ran right up a tree. Just crazy. And there was actually several more of them. It was making a clicking noise trying to communicate. So my point is there's a lot of stuff out there in these wilderness and woods that we don't even know about. So, you look at Yosemite National Park, you're talking about a staggering number. Yosemite National Park has the most missing people of anywhere in the world. Not the United States. The world has the most missing people of anywhere in the world. So why does anybody want to go to Yosemite National Park and camp out in the woods? Because the National Park Service don't tell you. So, refer that to David Pilatus. I'm a huge follower of David Pilatus, Missing 411. I think he does a fantastic job and reports nothing but the truth. But, we don't know what's taking people in these forests. I know this is a whole different subject, but I don't think it's just Bigfoot. I don't think mainly it's very few Bigfoot are doing it, or dogman. It's something that we don't know what it is and probably don't know of it. And the people who do find out what it was are not here to tell us.
Do you have the numbers on that? I was trying to look it up, and I just you captivated me again. How many people are missing?
I've heard it several times. I've heard Dave Pilatus mention it several times that Yosemite National Park has the most missing people of any place in the world. So I don't know the numbers, no, but I've heard it mentioned several times, and I 100% believe that if Dave Pilatus told me it was snowing in July, I'd believe him because I know he's straightforward. And if I'm wrong on any of those numbers, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
No, I was just interested. I was like, man, how many people do and you don't hear about this anymore? But yeah, you're right. That when you go to the missing,
Land Between the Lakes, we know of ourselves. Martin Groves has done more research in Land Between the Lakes. I'm talking about interviews with people, former park rangers, former state troopers, former law officers, former just normal people that's in the woods that have seen Dogman and they tried to attack them. Or there's so many cemeteries in the LBL. There's a lot of sightings around the cemeteries. Some of those cemeteries are 200 years old or older, and they're very remote. And lots of those creatures seen up there, but as far as I remember, I think we know of, Martin and I know of 22 people that are missing that nobody has any clue what happened to them. And I'm not relating that some of this couldn't happen by foul play, but I don't think the majority of it's happening. I do know that, the 82 massacre in the LBL where the family of 4 were killed by some type of creature, supposedly a dog man, as what we understand. I think there's those. I know there's those creatures are still in there because we've seen them. So I don't know if they're vicious or running around trying to kill people, but they didn't try to kill us. But I'm just saying that, I think that some of those type creatures are in the national parks, and I'm sure there's probably something else underlining we're not sure about. So I know I'm kind of jumping off page here. I apologize.
I love connecting the dots. Like, sometimes it's not like, hey, you're creating some awareness here because this is definitely, something's going on. And I do see, Chad, thank you for looking too in numbers and just to hear this going on across the country and you don't hear about it. But then I think, man, how often do I even listen to the news anymore? It's just like they've destroyed that part of it. So, man, that's a lot to digest, and you carry it. And you were a mayor, and all of your community and all this, and I know that is a lot of conflictions and things. How did you balance all of that?
Really, I didn't. When I had my first experience, I was in a time when you couldn't talk about it, and
right.
It's really we're all a whole lot better off now. And when I had my experience in '92, I couldn't tell anybody. Because the people I did mention it to, which were my camping hunting partners there, besides my grandfather, he knew about them. He didn't talk about them, but he knew about these creatures. But, I mentioned to them, hey, guys, have you ever seen anything in the woods that kind of looks like maybe some kind of monster or a Bigfoot or something type creature? And their answer was, people call me Big D. No, we never seen anything like that. Did you see something like that? And I said, well, I think I did. And they said, well, you must have been drinking too much. That was the kind of thing you got in that time. People, even your friends, either you're smoking marijuana or you're on some kind of drug or you're drinking too heavily. So, you couldn't talk about it in 1992. And Martin Groves, I was very fortunate, him being my best friend. He was the chief deputy sheriff of my county that I was so close to. He had his experience 4 months after I had mine. And he was in the LBL trying to turkey hunt when 2 or 3 dog men and tried to kill him and his partner. They tried to attack him and kill him. And 2 Bigfoot, or what we believe to be Gugway, were in front of the truck that wouldn't hardly let him out of the park. But he was fortunate enough to make it out, him and his friend. But his friend never recovered from that. He actually passed away. But, there's, we're lucky. We're in a time now where there's radio shows like this one. There's podcasts. There's groups like mine. That's why I'm so particular about my group. You don't go into my group and start ridiculing somebody or criticizing them about something they've seen or experienced, because you didn't experience and you don't know that it's true or not true. So if you don't like that, leave the group. So that's pretty much my rule. But
I've seen it too, and I applauded you. I was like, man, they have we were talking about this before. You have a great group. You guys keep right on top of that. And that's so important for people who want to share. And especially if you felt locked down if you've ever been in a place where you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, it's
Cody,
like,
you're exactly
come on.
right. I spent all those years with, I literally think I had PTSD for 6 or 7 years. I was just literally having nightmares and all kinds of stuff over this thing I'd seen. And I watched Martin Groves do the same thing. And, he couldn't talk about it. He only talked about it to me because he was afraid he'd lose his job with the sheriff's department talking about something crazy. And here I am, a mayor, and I'm going to tell everybody I'm seeing a Bigfoot. So, I mean, there was no channels to talk to then. Now we're in a situation where it's a little more open-minded. People at least listen. And if they don't like it, that's okay. But at least we have people we can relate to and talk to and have an understanding with some of those people that have experienced what we have.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. And keep doing that, because if you separate from that, I'm telling you, they can get whipped around at you pretty quickly. And it's just, man. And it's just like, any of us too, like you see something this big and it's like, there's no shadow, there's no room to say, oh, well, that was just, some swamp gas or whatever they use in that, community or whatever. I mean, It's just like, come on.
I get probably 40 or 50 messages sent to me a week from around the world. People want to know, I've got this in my backyard. I've got this on my farm. I've got this in the woods behind my house. What is it? What do I need to do? Well, I don't know, because, it makes you feel kind of guilty because I don't know their circumstance. I don't know what kind of creature they have. I don't know what they're dealing with exactly, and they don't either. But, my suggestion to them is if you're that scared, leave the area. Or don't try to relate to the creature. Lots of people will reach out to me. They've got creatures looking through their windows at night, Bigfoot, looking in their window at night, or something. And it's hard for me to tell someone what to do when I don't know what they're dealing with exactly. It could be something that I think I know, and it may not be. But my suggestion for anybody that's scared or is having a difficult time around their home with these creatures, they feel like scaring them or bothering them or coming around their property, especially at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. All you got to do is put up 3 or 4 trail cameras and 3 or 4 bright lights on the side of your house and shine them that way, and I assure you they won't come. Because they don't like trail cameras, they don't want their picture taken, and they don't want to be a light shining on them. So everyone I've told that to, I've not had one person yet tell me it didn't work.
That sounds about right there. I mean, you're saying, yeah. So I guess let me jump in. There's a few questions I want to get in there. And somebody touched too, Polly did, Roderman. She's awesome. She said she wanted to know really what marked the difference in your first experience, your second experience, and your second experience is going out, right? Is this after you've kind of you've gone back into it, or did you have one I'm having a hard time remembering. What got you back into the woods? Because you took a 6-year break, right?
Well, it was closer to 7. What happened was I quit hunting in the woods. After my experience in November the 6th of 92, I quit hunting in the woods. I still hunted a little bit in my truck in the field, in the farmland, hunt the wood line in my truck. I didn't go in the woods. What happened was in 99, I've been fishing all my life. I didn't stop fishing. And there's areas I fished in that was kind of remote, but they weren't. I didn't go in the night or the morning, early in the hours. I'd go in the early morning, 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. This particular area I've been fishing at most of my life. I've been in there, and it's very remote. It's about 200 yards in the rural area, and there's a super sandbar there that we would fish on and catch a lot of fish. And nobody knows how to get there because it's very, like I said, it's remote. Plus, you can't get in there without permission. It's on the side of the Cumberland River between Nashville, Tennessee, and Cheatham County, Tennessee. And that area, I was just fishing. I wasn't looking for these creatures. What happened was the first time I was there, it was early March or late February, and I was actually crappie fishing, or some people call them crappie, and it's a good area to do that. And I fished there for a lot of years, but I hadn't been there in quite a few. I just started fishing, and I got back there, and one of them stole my bucket, and then I couldn't figure out what happened to my bucket. And another week it happened again, and another week it happened again, and I called them that time because I kind of roped the bucket. But that's how I got into that. I wasn't looking for these creatures. I didn't think they would be in my fishing spot, but they happened to be a family of them living in that area. And that's how that got started. I was by no means that I ever want to see them again, I can tell you that. But I'm glad I did, at that particular time, because it really eased all the anxiety I had and all the PTSD I had in my mind about what these creatures could do. Because then I related, like I said, that they're like humans. There's good humans and there's bad humans. So I felt that way, and I built a relationship with those creatures for nearly 5 years. So that's how that happened.
And they trusted you. That's big.
They trusted me. Yeah, it took a lot of work to get that. Now it wasn't automatic. I would go in there and talk to them, and they wouldn't just look. They just stare at me. There was 2 of them that watched me. Then the bigger one would start coming. He was behind those 2, and he would watch me. He was probably 7 foot tall, and I got as close to the female. We became such good friends. I would carry her favorite food was cantaloupe. I'd bring them cantaloupe, the whole cantaloupe, not cut up, and I'd put it on a little platter and push it over toward the woods or the kudzu, next to the woods, and they'd come out and get it. And they like cooked bacon. I took them that. I tried every food you could think of. I learned what they liked the most. And not many people don't like cooked bacon, but they liked it. Their third favorite food was definitely jelly-filled donuts. They love those. Any type of bread product they loved. You put it on a dish, you throw it on the ground, they won't eat it. They don't want their food thrown on the ground, just like we wouldn't. And you push it over there, and they'll eat it. But I did a lot with those creatures, and they made me stuff like I was saying earlier. It made me gifts. They brought me fish. We just formed a relationship of trust, and over 4.5 years or whatever exactly it was, it just come together as a good relationship between myself and them. And I was very lucky. The large elder of that clan, he tolerated me and he trusted me too. And I never got to see him good, just parts of him looking through the kudzu at me. But I did see the other ones, so it was a great experience. If I could find that again, I would do it again.
Wow, that's amazing. That really is. You're talking about cultivating a relationship, and that's what I found so fascinating is somebody else told me this similar, how you were able to not, just because you're female in a relationship, that's not what I meant. This reciprocal back and forth, learning and teaching one another. That's profound all on its own.
Yeah. I used to go in there every time I would go in there. I would stay with them on a normal day, because I was trying to work then also. So, I would stay with them, a couple hours. But I was always there every day or every other day. They knew I was coming because I didn't want to lose my relationship with them and them to not think I was their friend. But when you start doing that, they realize that you care about them. And I realized they cared about me, because when they heard me coming in, they got so excited. It was just, it was heartwarming. You hear them blowing whistles, and you can hear them yelling and whooping, running through the kudzu, because they're glad I'm there. They hear me coming in. And I guess they're probably also excited too. What are you bringing us today? Because every time I went in, I'd bring them something, whether it was a food or some type of gift or something small, not anything expensive. They appreciate anything, and they relate that as part of a relationship of goodness and kindness between you and them. So that's.
Do you think you had a connection between your soul and theirs? Is that why you became so close to them?
I don't know if I had a connection when I first went in there. I do think over the years, after what I've seen now, the last 32 years, I've been around so many of these creatures. I think that some people have the ability to react or interact with those creatures, and other people don't. I don't know if it has. People say, "Is it your bloodline?" I have no idea if it's my bloodline or not, but it's just some people have that ability to counter-react with them, and for them to, when you go back to Mary Green from Tennessee, I mean, my gosh, she was probably even her grandparents lived with Fox, the Bigfoot, on their farm for, I don't remember how many years it was, 20 or 30 years, and she was friends with him when she was a little girl. So there's other people, I'm sure, that experienced some of the things I have, and maybe even more. But they never tried to harm me. They didn't have any feeling that I would harm them, and that meant a lot, because when you feel that they know, when they turn their back on you, and it's pretty astonishing when you think about these creatures having that ability to think and interact with us just like we do them. So anybody that thinks they're not intelligent, or anybody that thinks they're an ape, they're really crazy, because these creatures are not an ape. So it's pretty amazing.
I feel like the missing link, there's going to be that segment out there, and that's not what's happening here. That's definitely not what's happening here.
Well, a lot of people think they're the Nephilim too. I do not think they're the Nephilim. I think they're the kind of hair giants that were in Afghanistan, and the U.S. soldiers run into those, and the 15, 16 foot tall red-headed giants that supposedly the U.S. soldiers fought. I don't have any evidence of any of that. I've been told that by a lot of people, even people in the military. So,
Kandahar story. That is the giant Kandahar story, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think there's a lot of Stargate action in the Middle East. I think that's why one of the reasons why we went there.
I don't disagree with that either. That's a good statement.
Yeah, just to follow up
There's
on that.
There's a lot of things we don't know about. There really is. I'm sure we're going to learn more and more as time goes on. It's just. I'm not familiar with the UFO thing like you folks are, and I probably wish I was a little more than I am. But I think it was just last year or the year before that the government finally admitted they existed. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't even know for sure if they did or not. I mean, yeah, really.
Yeah.
What do you think? Somebody asked too, what do you think? Do you think that the government, what role do they play into this and controlling the narrative and stuff like that? But
I may get kicked off Facebook tomorrow or something, but I don't trust the government in any way possible. I'm sorry, but I just don't. But
I don't either.
Not a chance. Not even for a second. No. God.
I know that's a whole different can of worms, but it's true. I just don't trust them, and I hate that I feel that way, but I do.
I think you sound very logical that you do feel that way, because I don't think that it's in our favor. And like you were saying before, it's like you don't know, from line, and we're sitting here and we're like, man, this is fascinating. But I have to tell you, there is a parallel that I'm hearing you say and talk about, and experiencers of each, in just, from the way it changed your life to the way you cultivated. And I think that's probably too where, Rob and James and I were kind of coming from our questioning, because you almost feel like your family, you almost feel like it's like this, type of relationship. And it really does. There's a lot of parallels that I heard through your story that I was like, wow, yeah, definitely,
I kind of relate myself to the American Indian people, the indigenous people that they call us. But I have some strong heritage in my line of my bloodline, my grandmother and my grandfather, and even my father. But those people related to this type of thing differently than the average person did. And I think they believed in all beings being possible and nothing being impossible. And people have to be open-minded and understand that there's things that we don't understand. And when you relate yourself to a position where you can understand that you're not right about everything and you need to learn a lot more than you think you need to learn, then you're in a lot better shape in the position you should be in. So if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
yes, I do. Yes, I do. I was just going to say that I know I would definitely like to invite you back for a part 2. I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface here. And, but I want to leave it open to James and Rob and ask, their questions. So I'm just going to say like, thank you so much for your time and everybody in chat. Like this, I feel like, if this is something, and 2, you guys, he has a show, Darrell has a show that's coming out. Make sure to check it out. So before we leave, I'll definitely let you know. I want you to definitely give the people the information so they know where to find it, because this is, you're the expert here and you're coming on, like we cover this, but you always have that area where you feel more comfortable in your area of quote unquote expertise, or where you've had experience, where you can relate and you like, okay. Cause if you haven't seen something, you're right. I mean, unless you say in my heart of hearts, like I didn't see it. I don't know, but there's something more here to this. Like, let's keep an open mind and an open heart and not, your programming says so much. If you're instantly, it's like you got the barracudas or the whatever, they're gonna, they're ready to pounce. Like, so yes, again, I appreciate it. So
I appreciate you having me on. I've enjoyed talking with all of you. I appreciate your time and effort and having me on here with you.
And we will definitely have you back. I'm like, when we get off here, I'm going to figure out some times, because I like to bring it, so we can get the whole, and if that's something you're available to do. But again, like I'm going to let James and Rob, because I know that they've got questions too. And so I just wanted to thank you.
I'll answer what I can. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll answer what I can. I don't say that I know all the answers, but I'll give you what I got. So go ahead.
I just ask you this: where would you like to see like Bigfoot and Dogman research go in the next 5 to 10 years, or where do you think it could go? I mean, do you see us having like open contact, like or do you think these creatures will stay hidden in the shadows?
Well, I would like to see it. Let me speak about Bigfoot first. I would like to see the time come when it was more accepted by everyone. There's still a lot of closed-minded people about them. They think that it's just, a bunch of junk. It's not true, and it is true. So, that's okay. I don't have a problem with anybody feeling the way they feel, but people need to understand that what's in the woods is, quite frankly, it's pretty frightening what lives in our wilderness. I mean, there's stuff out there that I don't even know what it is, and I don't know that I ever will. But Bigfoot, like I said, there's different types of those creatures. I do think that people are so much more open-minded now than they were even 5 years ago. And I know it's because of shows like this, radio shows, podcasts, groups, because people are conversating about it more, and they're also discussing it and being more open-minded than they once were. Plus, you got a lot more people in the woods out looking for these creatures. So, I don't know how many times it is when I get a message from somebody, hey, they built a subdivision down the street from me, and all of a sudden I've got creatures on my property, and they're at nighttime, they're on my deck, and they're stealing vegetables off of it. So, their property, these creatures are there's businesses and industry encroaching on their homeland, and they are trying to find a different place to go. And that's what happens a lot of times. They just run out of the area that they've always lived in. Dogman, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about Dogman to tell you the answer on that one, but I do believe that Bigfoot could definitely be open-minded for anyone, because the biggest majority of them are just very elusive and want to be left alone. They're not a creature that's going to harm you. There are some bad ones, like I said earlier. Dogman, I don't know. I couldn't really answer that for you. Of the 4 I've seen, none of them have tried to kill me. They could have, but they didn't. So I can't really put that label on them that they're some kind of, all of them are some type of killing machine. So I don't see it getting a whole lot better on Dogman. I really don't. There's too many people that still don't know what they are.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, James, did you have anything else for Darrell? Did you see anything? I guess there any questions that you have before we have him back for a second?
No, I just have a real quick question. I know a lot of people have seen Bigfoot or these beings, and they've kept it aside for many years, and they feel so isolated. I know we talked about it before, but in closing, what advice could you give people to be able to reconnect with themselves, to be able to have some closure with this? Because I know what it's like when people don't believe you. So what advice could you give them in closing?
I would first advise them to find a support group, because there's so many of them out there now. Now, a lot of these people that we're talking about, I've even got older friends. When I say older, in their 70s or 80s, they don't have a Facebook. They don't go on and listen to shows. They don't know any of that. That's a whole different world from them. They're old school in their ways. But there's so many support groups out there now that people can talk to about that type of thing. Even conferences. I've spoken as many as 15 conferences in 1 year, and there's no telling how many people come up to me and start talking to me because they had never been able to tell anybody. They're scared. They're afraid somebody's going to think they're crazy, or just like what you're talking about. So reach out to some type of support group, find a conference coming, find someone speaking about Bigfoot in a library or somewhere. If you're not on Facebook, if you're not involved in podcast or radio shows, get with a family member, maybe a younger family member that will be involved in those, and go on and listen to a couple of those and listen to other people talk about it and express their feelings about it. You're not alone. You just got to find some people that are willing to listen to it. So that would be my suggestion.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Wow, that was good. Yeah, that's really good. Hey, Rob, do you have anything else before we get and two, join Darrell's Facebook group, because he's not going to let anybody talk crap to you like that, because I've seen it and I applauded it. So way to go to you and your moderators.
Totally, I appreciate that so much. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. But I can tell you this much, we've got almost 70,000 people in our private group. We could have a whole lot more. We have ousted and removed over 10,000 people for acting that way. So, we'd probably be closer to 100,000 if we let everybody stay, but we're not going to tolerate anybody bullying anybody. That's just the way to put it. So if you're looking to do that, join somebody else's group. Don't come to ours.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So many people are out there, all the numbers, but no, I saw it for myself and I was very impressed. So you got a podcast coming out. Why don't you tell people where they can find you? I'm sure they're going to have a mound of questions, and
Well, my friend Daniel Hamilton, Cryptid Podcast, that I've known quite a while. He's such a big fan of mine, and I just love the guy to death. And he is helping myself and Ron Moorhead, my best friend. We've been working on this for months now. We just can't get our technology down. So if everything goes correctly, we will be on Monday night. Let's see, 5 o'clock Ron's time, which will be Pacific. 7 o'clock Daniel's time, 8 o'clock mine Eastern time. We will be live somewhere, and it'll be under Two Real Cryptid Legends. So that's the name of our podcast, Two Real Cryptid Legends. But that was the name Ron wanted to make it, and I was good with that. So anyway, that'll be our first one. I don't know what all we'll have on there. Maybe just kind of introduce ourselves to people that don't know us, but we're going to try to be live in a lot of areas. It won't be like podcasts that you see normally, because we'll be doing a lot of live things. Probably some of the spots that I've seen the Dogman in will be out there. Probably some spots I've seen some my friendly Bigfoot in Cheatham County, Tennessee, and the mountains of Virginia and West Virginia. And maybe even the Sierra Nevada mountains that Ron knows well. So, we're planning on doing some of those type things too, along with having a few guests. But it's not a regular type podcast. It's more of a too real type thing that we're going to show what's out there. My goal is to have a real live Bigfoot on there for you to see, and a real live dog man, and whatever else we run across.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, bring it. We need people like that out there, especially with AI and all the trickery and stuff that's going on.
Oh, my God. AI is killing us all. It really is.
Oh, it's brutal. You can't trust what you see right now. But that's why people like you are so important, because we can trust what we hear and you're backing it up, and you have an amazing story, and don't stop doing what you're doing, because people need that. They need that, you to hold that place for them, and you're protecting so many people. So that's wonderful.
Thank you so much. I'm super fortunate because I don't think there's anybody in the world that probably doesn't know Ron Moorhead. My best friend is number one in Bigfoot by far, and always will be. And then my number two friend is, I wouldn't say number two, my number one buddy, Martin Groves. I've been my best friend 44 years now. He's number one in the world in Dogman. So I've got the two number one guys. I'm just trying to fit in the middle somewhere. So if I've got those two guys with me out researching, and then throw in Barton Nunley, the old Kentucky hillbilly, good guy that will get out and find some crazy stuff. I've got a good team. So as long as I got those guys out there with me, and another friend named Billy Howell that fills in for us quite a bit, we're going to come out with some good stuff for people to see. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Rob, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank him on my end. And thank you, Nicole, for inviting me. This was awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. And, I just want to say, by the way, your friend Ron Moorhead, I remember him being on Art Bell back in the day. He used to come on Art Bell. I was a huge Art Bell fan. That was, I know.
Still are.
Yeah, and thank you. This was amazing. I thought that this was a great show.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure meeting you and my friend at the top there. I'm sorry. Give me your name again.
It's James.
James. I knew it was James, but the last name, you're an author. I'm trying to remember that. I'll check out one of your books. But, thank you all, and especially you, Cody, for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to let you get going for now, but I'm going to be in touch, and then we'll set you up another date. So I'll drop all the links. Just look, if you don't see him now, you should see that his Facebook group is in there, and I definitely encourage you to go join. So thank you again, Darrell, and from all of us.
Can I Can I say one more thing before you go?
You sure can. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, if anybody would do me a favor and keep my close friend Martin Groves in your prayers. He's really been struggling the last year, and he means the world to me. He's like my real brother. So keep him in your prayers, and hopefully he'll be at the Tennessee Wildman Conference with me on August 16th, along with my other friends that will be there. Scott Nelson of the Sierra Sounds, of Ron Moorhead's, and also Hellbent Holler and Tim Kumbo Baker. So I appreciate you do that. And thank you so much again for having me on.
Yes. Hey, and if you talk to him, let him know that we are out here, and we are. We'll keep him in our hearts and our prayers, close to us. We don't, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the heart you have is so big. So yes, thank you so much again. And like I said, I'll be in touch soon, and we'll set up another day for round 2, and keep it going.
Sure,
so.
Thanks for having me again, and I appreciate you guys having me on here. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching.
Absolutely, that's great. And now that I got Rob, you're so funny, Art Bell. Rob listens. I'm going to tell this story. Rob listens to Art Bell every night, and he is some stuff I love. Rob, you're amazing. You really are. So it's been so much fun, and we got some stuff coming up in the future. So Rob, why don't you tell the people too that aren't, I'm sure there's a mix of everybody on here, but we want to get them to your channel too, because you had and went through and were shut down. You had a huge, you still do without a shadow of a doubt, but I know that you kind of been missing the old, and we just get people back over and back to your page. Tell them where they can find you.
Thanks. I lost 20,000. But you lost a lot too, COLEY. You had the censorship happen to you as well, right? It's happened. It seems like it happens to all.
Yeah, but you had 20.
Yeah,
I didn't quite get up that high, but yeah, on YouTube. But I mean, genuinely, like, you know, for all the people out there, like sometimes you lose, you know, channels and you don't realize, like, oh yeah, no, Rob, where's he been? Or, you know, no, you lost your channel. Go over there and make sure you subscribe. And you're on Rumble. I think we're like next, and I see you all over on the streaming platform. So when you see Typical Skeptic podcast, Rob,
I picked up a bunch of subscribers on Rumble. I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers on Rumble, so I'm making headway over there. And you know, almost 4,000 on YouTube. So it's not like where it used to be, but it's getting up there. You guys can just find me. It's Typical Skeptic Podcast 2.0 on YouTube. It's at TruthSeeker5197. It's real easy. At TruthSeeker5197. Then on Rumble, it's at Typical Skeptic Podcast. And then I'm on other stuff. I'm on like TikTok, Substack. I'm on Substack at Typical Skeptic Podcast. I write articles sometimes, you know. I like that. I like Substack a lot because you can really be yourself and you can be free and creative. And yeah, I really like that, you know.
I don't think we're on there now. I'm gonna have to check it out. That's good to know, because like I have to tell you, we can't really say a whole lot about it right now, but there's some we have some stuff in the works, so keep your eyes open. And as I said, Rob's he's good people. If you want to check out, he does a lot of shows. I mean, daily. I don't know anybody who does more than Rob. So that's awesome. Yeah. And I'll make sure if anybody has a hard time just go ahead and I'll help you get over to Rob if you're not already. But you've been nailing, going head to, I mean, I think you have to have like hold a record for some. I mean, you do like a couple shows a day, don't you?
Yeah, I did like 3. This is my 3rd one today. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, he does too. He's always working. Rob's always doing a podcast. And James too. Why don't you tell him too? You know, tell him where they can find you or your book, and you know, just a little bit, and we'll leave it at that for closing.
If you're interested in my books, I've written. My first book is about all of my encounters that I had from age 6 until present, called Lone Believer. And it goes through everything from the good to the bad. And then it's at author James Kelly books.com. You can get on the website and you can order the books, and they get shipped through Amazon. And I'm actually giving free autographed books away with a special message inside of them for this week, the first week in August. So what you need to do is just go to my Facebook page. It's called Lone Believers, My Journey as a UFO Abductee. And then if you just go down to the comment on any of the posts saying, yes, I love your book, or yes, I would like an autographed book. Then at the end of the week, what we're going to do is we're going to actually have the computer pick a winner, and you'll be able to send out a really nice book with a message from me, and it's signed as well. So yeah, get on that Facebook page and do that. Again, it's the Lone Believers, My Journey as a UFO Abductee. And I hope you win so you can have the book.
Oh, and the message.
How many times have you taken, James? How many times do you remember? Like, was it a lot?
It's a lot. I've been taken at least 8 times by the Octorians, which is a very, very positive thing. Ever since I found out that, it's in the new book. It's about half human. Let's just put it that way. And by the Greys and different other races. So it really, people like Chloe have talked to me and said they don't know how I did not just do it in, but for all the experiences that I have. But I held it together, and my wife didn't know. I kept it for 30 years until recently. And so, yeah, it's been a crazy road. So anybody that's interested in my journey, please, by all means, read my book.
And what you said too is like he went through all that, Rob, where it's like, hey, the ridicule, Darrell was just talking about it. It's and he feels every emotion. I said, I don't know how you do it. Like, I protect yourself when you go into rooms. It's just like, the attacks and how they go and how they happen. It's just,
it was hard because I have to, when I go out in public, I have to, because I've been gifted with certain things that I can feel people's pain and agony and sorrow. And if I don't block it, I take on all of that. And it's really hard on me. Really hard. It's really, some days I just sit and cry for hours, which I'm 59 years old, and I don't know how many 59-year-old men with beards sit and cry for hours. So it's kind of a different.
I've never known anybody who takes on and absorbs that kind of emotion like you do, and you regulate it. And I hear it in your empathy with other people, just like you did with Darrell. You're asking like, hey, if there's people out there that have sat here before and have been ridiculed and been told this is, how are you going to? And that's so important. We need that. We really do.
Yeah, it is. And just real quick, something really fascinating happened to my wife, Holly, because she's experiencing all of this for the first time, and she's really trying her best. But some friends of hers brought her over a bouquet of flowers. They looked like white snowballs or something. And she took them off, cut the ends off, and put them in a vase, and they died within a day. And she was so sad. And I'm like, I can fix this. And I put my hands on there, and I just channeled my energy into them, my love, and, put life back into them. And as she walked in, she witnessed the flowers standing up. And she turned to me, and I'm like, it's real, hun. And so she's really starting to see different things that's happening. Like Darrell said, you just need to hang on. You got to be strong. I've been through this. I've been called delusional. I've been called schizophrenic. I've lost family members. One of my best friends I've known for years won't talk to me anymore. And but the only thing I can say is I know it happened, and I just won't deny it, because I've had some great opportunities with the Arcturians, and I've had great opportunities with others. And it's just part of my life. My mission is to spread love, compassion, and peace with everyone. So that's it. Wow. I could go on for hours. So.
No, I love hearing about it. But yeah, Rob, anything in closing? James, thank you so much for sharing that. And we're going to have you on to you. And so you can come and so many people are interested in your story, and so many people have been moved by and touched by your way. I mean, you're here. I said, I'm here for communication. Nobody said anything about all that feeling stuff. So, that was their bad. But James here, on the other hand, like if you're mean to him, I'm going to punch you down, because I'm not one of those,
She will too.
Don't. Yeah, I will too. I will. I promise. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'd love to interview you sometime, James. I'd love to have you on my show, maybe with COLEY or whatever. Maybe we could just do it like this, like we're doing now.
That would be awesome. You just let me or COLEY know, and I'm more than happy to be on your show. That would be great.
Yeah, we'll have to do more, and stay tuned, because we got some fun stuff coming in, Rob. It's always fun. It always is. In closing, does anybody have anything before we close? And the dog has
just thank you. It was amazing. I had fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So my dog has some attachment things going on, as you can see. So I'm definitely, I just want to thank everybody too for staying in and listening and being the support. I mean, without you, it's so nice to see all these comments going and so much positivity and stuff going through the community. So just be good to one another, be there for one another. And don't, everybody's got their different, things in this. And James, you're so important in all this. And I'm just so glad, you're my brother. So, and Rob, I love you to death. You're amazing. You do so. Both of you have done such amazing work. So, yes, thank you all.
It's awesome. Yeah. It really was. I had fun.
You're so awesome. You are the best. That's all I can say.
Well, on that note, I can't believe that I didn't pay them anything to say this either. So that's even better.
Oh, yeah. I need to
check. Right. So I guess on behalf of SNX-RADIO and our Typical Skeptic podcast, Rob, we'd like to thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. Rob, do you want to say any last words of wisdom before we go?
Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and me and COLEY got some really interesting stuff coming up. So, I don't think we're going to talk about it yet, but possibly like something like a conference, like it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens.
It's so exciting, yes, and I can't wait when we're ready to come out. Robin and I will come out, but everybody on here knows, and it's going to be something like nobody else has done before, and I couldn't even be more excited. When you just say it, Rob, I'm just like, oh. So don't. It's like a Christmas. I'm going to have a hard time not spitting something out, but I'm trying to keep it under wraps, and we'll come out and we will be bringing you some exciting news shortly. So until then, we'll bid you farewell and enjoy your weekend. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow night. Yeah, Saturday. And Rob, you always find Rob and always say hello to Rob because Rob's doing a podcast. He's very, and I'm telling you, he's great at what he does. So again, thank you for taking the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio and Typical Skeptic Podcast. James Kelly, Rob, and me, COLEY. So we will see you. James and I will see you tomorrow night. Rob, you're welcome to pop in here anytime, and you know that. So, but we got some exciting stuff for you guys in the future. So see you tomorrow night.
Alright.
From the combination takes place, the truth is our guide in the vast expanse. It's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us. Everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots. Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stay.